So you made it through Scorpio season, but can you make it through December without starting any drama? That is the lesson to learn this month. Welcome back, Astro fam. This is your December relationship-focused Astro forecast, breaking down all the cosmic weather of the month ahead. Happy holidays. We have so much to talk about this month. I'm going to try to keep it really short and concise because this month's lessons are mainly focused around communication, with Mercury going retrograde and lots of planets journeying through the energy of Sagittarius, which relates to our higher, expansive mindset, getting out of our box and our comfort zone and learning things. So in this video, I'm going to start out with a general overview, the energy that we're moving into the month of December with. Then I'm going to highlight the top 5 energies, the top 5 transits that I'm really paying attention to this month as a relational astrologer. And then if you're new to my videos, you will notice that I do a planet by planet breakdown where I take all the planets off of this board, put them back up one by one as we talk about each individual planet. Now, I personally consider each planet a life coach to us. And so when we go through the planet by planet breakdown, I'm going to help you understand what that planet is doing this month, what that coach is trying to teach us. That is a great time for you to pull out your own personal birth chart because I'll give you the degree points that each planet is going to be navigating through the month of December. And you can see if that planet is impacting any specific areas in your chart. And during the planet by planet breakdown, you're going to want to pay special attention to your primary life coach planet. Now, who's your primary life coach planet? This is dependent on your rising sign. So each zodiac sign has a planet that rules that energy. So you're going to go based on your rising sign. For example, I am a Scorpio rising. And Scorpio is ruled by Mars and by Pluto. So whenever I'm doing my personal astro forecast for the month ahead, I'm always looking in the sky and saying, where is Mars going to be this month? What is he up to? What energy is he in? And Pluto moves so slow that most of the time I know where he's going to be, but this month he's going to be making some moves. So we'll talk later about that in the planet by planet breakdown. But for you, you want to pay attention to your primary life coach planet. I'm going to put up right here really quick each rising sign and the planet that rules that rising sign. Then I go into the date by date breakdown. This is the point where you want to grab your calendar, everything that you have planned for the month ahead, so you can see on what dates we're going to have specific astrological alignments or weather and how you may be able to navigate your event that you have to participate here in Earth School in alignment with the cosmos. If you have your astrology journal, you can open up to page 87. That is the calendar where I have all the astrological weather. You can go ahead and take extra notes for anything I talk about today that isn't mentioned here in the journal. And then lastly, I'm going to break down all the rising signs and help you understand what relationships specifically in your life are going to be impacted with the Mercury retrograde, the sun moving through the energy of Sagittarius, and that new moon in Sagittarius. So we'll get into all of that towards the end of the video. And one last little thing is I am a Western tropical astrologer using whole sign systems. So if that resonates with you, this video is for you. And as a relational astrologer, again, I help you have better relationships by understanding the cosmic weather. So as we go through this video today, I'm going to take the lens of relationships, helping you truly understand how this weather is going to impact you personally, the relationship you have with yourself, and also help you navigate the relationships in your life because you're understanding what's going on in the cosmic weather and how it may be influencing the people around you. So with that, let's first dive into a general overview. What is the energy we are moving into the month of December with? We all know that November was pretty deep, was pretty heavy. It came with a lot of lessons because we were really moving through scorpionic energy. We had that new moon in Scorpio, which is all about death and rebirth, starting new cycles, putting new intentions into our life, things we want to manifest within the next 6 months. And so we really had to look deep. But now we are in the energy of Sagittarius, and I love this, not only because it leads us into the holiday season, but Sagittarius is such an optimistic, jovial, lighthearted, explorative energy. So it really allows us to get out of the day-to-day mundane mindset that we're in and allows us to expand ourselves and to dream and to desire and to have faith and to really want to go explore what else we don't know yet. So there's a lot of cool energy in the sky that we're going to be feeling in the month of December, but November really brought us deep, deep down into our subconscious. So things are going to get lighter this month. Now, as we start out the month of December, December, we are still under the influence of the Sun-Mars cazimi that happened at the end of November. So pay attention as you're moving in through the holiday season. Sun is heat and life and vitality and really, shines a spotlight on things. And Mars is about taking action, making decisions, moving forward. So if you have this jolt where you are like, okay, I don't want to wait till the new year to get back into my habits and my routines. I don't want to wait until the new year to start some of the goals that I have for myself. We are really starting to feel like a fire is being lit under our butt to get going on our life. It took us so long to get to this point, right? 2020 was the breakdown. 2021, we were like realizing and just going through this recognition of, oh my God, my life's never going to go back to the way it was. 2022, we're like, okay, so what does that mean? What do I want for my life? Where am I going? And in 2023, we decided we're going to get going. We're going to get started on that new life, the new dreams, the new existence we want to be in the world ahead of us. And so now we're getting to the end of 2023 as we're moving into 2024, and we'll talk so much more about that when I'm doing my year ahead forecast in the month of January. But this Mars Sun influence that we're going to be under in the month of December is going to really want us to take action, to make decisions, to be impulsive. But I'm going to encourage you to be very cautious and very careful because we're about to go into a Mercury retrograde. And when we're dealing with Mercury retrogrades, we have to go back over something, right? We have to reassess, reevaluate, recommit, get more information, go back over things. So you're going to feel this spark, this energy inside of you to take action, to make a decision, to move forward, to go somewhere, to ask someone out on a date, to invest some money in something, to purchase something. You're going to want to go forward, but I'm going to encourage you to just put a pause on it and to go back into the mind and ask, what more information do I need? What do I not know yet? Where do I have to expand my mind? Where do I have to explore the unknown before I can make this decision? Okay, so that's a big energy we're feeling as we move into the month of December. And also this month, we have a lot more fire in the sky. So that's calling us to want to take action, initiate, be productive, right? That fire burning inside of us. We can see here in Aries, a fire sign, we have the North Node and we have Chiron. North Node being where we're being drawn to. We have in Sagittarius, Mercury, the Sun, and Mars. So that is 5 planets in this fire energy. So no wonder we're going to want to get up and do things. And that's beautiful for the month ahead and with the holidays, but be careful on where and what you're taking action on and also not overdoing it. That's going to be really important this month as well. Now, the other thing this month is we are really going to be forced to learn major lessons around communication. So be very careful with starting gossip, spreading information that's not yours to share. Also about the way in which you're communicating with others or the way that you're asking others for assistance or information. I also want to encourage you to be very cautious about the information you're consuming because right now there's a lot of influences in the sky with Neptune, which is about dreaminess and fogginess and haziness. And we're going to talk a lot more about that specifically in the new moon in Sagittarius video because that new moon is a very dark night. We're so close to the winter solstice, the darkest night or darkest, 24 hours of the year. And as a new moon, it's the darkest night in the moon cycle. And Neptune's involved. Just imagine you wake up in the middle of the night, it's pitch dark, and there's this fog that's covering the ground, right? It's just really hazy, and you don't want to make a move because you can't see clearly. So that's the energy that we're building up to this month on December 12th at that new moon in Sagittarius. So be very careful with the information that's coming in. There's going to be this cloudy fogginess, haziness, maybe some untruths that come with it. And then also as you're expressing and you're communicating, there's a lot of lessons to learn that maybe you need to adjust your communication style. And that's going to be through that Mercury retrograde. So with all that, that's kind of the energy we're feeling as we're moving into the month of December. Let me give you the top 5 transits, the top 5 things that are happening this month in the astrological weather that I'm paying special attention to. So the first thing is an obvious, it's going to be that Mercury retrograde. Mercury is going to retrograde from Capricorn back into Sagittarius. There's a lot of lessons to learn around that. I don't want to take too much time up in this video talking about that Mercury retrograde because I will have an entirely separate video that is relationship focused because anytime Mercury goes retrograde, there are communication issues and that heavily impacts our relationships. But just so we know for the month ahead, on the first day of December, Mercury is going to move into Capricorn. He'll get to 8 degrees and retrograde back into Sagittarius by the middle of the month. And at the end of the month, he will be back at 22 degrees of Sagittarius, ending his retrograde on January 1st. So we are moving into the new year with fresh communication, fresh decisions, new information that's going to help us move forward. And it's going to be a beautiful energy to start 2024 with. But that means for almost the entire month of December, we are going to be under this retrograde influence of Mercury. So we know what that means, especially if you have travel plans. Pay attention, double check, print things out, be flexible, allow yourself to move through any hiccups or disruption with travel and communication. Mercury is going to be teaching us a lot of lessons this month around those topics. The second thing this month that I'm looking forward to and paying special attention to is Venus moving into the energy of Scorpio. I love this because as a relational astrologer, I'm always paying attention to Venus, right? She is the life coach or the planet that helps us experience more love, more beauty, more pleasure. And the way in which we experience more pleasure or beauty or harmony in our life is dependent on the zodiac energy that she's in, the influence or the energy she's projecting upon us. Now, Venus is going to move this month from Libra into Scorpio and all the way into Sagittarius. So she's making moves, and we're going to be feeling in our relationships the way in which we want to be loved or give love is going to feel a little different as she's making this journey. But the exciting thing this month is Venus is going to move into Scorpio. And Scorpio is so, so deep. It is an emotional water energy that is dealing with the emotions of the hard stuff. They deal with betrayal and loyalty, secrets, power, control, manipulation, obsessions, jealousy. Now, why is this exciting? Because Venus is going to allow us to go there into those deep, deep, intimate spaces. And Mercury helping us learn how to communicate better, forcing us to expand our mind as he's in Sagittarius, is going to allow us to expand ourselves into the uncomfortable conversations we have to have around these topics of Scorpio. Are you having jealousy issues? Do you need to have a conversation with your partner? Are you wanting to have some more intimate, deeper conversations around your emotions and relationships? When Venus is in Scorpio, it becomes a very obsessive kind of love. Like, I want to be close to you. I want to know your soul. I want to go deep with you. I want to have these uncomfortable conversations, because once we have them and they're brought to light, right? Scorpio is opening the closet doors, seeing the skeletons, cleaning them up, and having a fresh, bright new energy around. And although it may be uncomfortable to go dark and to go deep, the light, the metamorphosis, the beauty on the other side is going to be magical for us as we start 2024. So we'll talk more about that when we get to the planet by planet breakdown and we focus more on Venus. But that is an exciting energy this month I'm paying attention to. The third thing I'm paying attention to this month is the fact that retrograde season, even though Mercury is going retrograde this month, but retrograde season is coming to an end. What do I mean by that? This month, we're going to have Neptune coming out of retrograde. We're going to have Jupiter coming out of retrograde, and we're going to have Chiron coming out of retrograde. These planets have been retrograde for a long time. Neptune's been retrograde since June. Chiron's been retrograde since July, and Jupiter's been retrograde since September. These are heavy-hitting planets. They move very slow, but they spend a period of time in a specific area of the sky, aka a specific area in our birth chart, hammering us with lessons over years. And so during retrogrades, we are meant to go back, review, reassess, ask ourselves, do we really want this in our life? And when they come out of retrograde, a lot of the lessons that we learn, we're now going to implement. So this is really exciting. And again, I'll break it down more when we get to the planet by planet breakdown. But this lightness that we're going to feel as these planets come out of retrograde is going to feel so good again as we move into 2024. The fourth exciting thing that's happening this month, and this might be new information for a lot of you, so I'm taking you on a Sagittarius journey of expanding your mind, and that is the fact that these three planets, the Sun, Mercury, and Mars, are all crossing the galactic center. What does this mean? The galactic center, from our perspective here on Earth, the center of the universe, is at 27 degrees of Sagittarius. And so when any planet, any life coach to us crosses over that 27 degrees of Sagittarius point in the sky, the galactic center, that is opening up this portal of us receiving divine downloads, messages, things that are going to help us move into the future, because the galactic center allows us to escape the three-dimensional reality of time and space and allows us to go into a different realm for just a moment and see what's in front of us in a completely different light. So when the sun crosses the galactic center, it is heating up. It is allowing us to tap into our higher self and the other realms that give us information on how we need to proceed forward in our lives. Mercury is going to cross the galactic center 3 times because he's doing a retrograde. So that is like a very intuitive mind that is going into your third eye. Great energy to meditate, to get information that you're not going to get necessarily in a book or listening to a podcast, but that higher self, those epiphanies, those ahas, those divine guidance that allows you to make magic in your life. So I love this for Mercury, and Mars helps us take action on those things. So the galactic center is getting a lot of attention this month, and I'm totally here for it. Fifth thing I'm paying attention to this month is going back to Neptune, who is having a heavy influence. Now, usually I don't talk a lot about Neptune because he moves so slow that from a month-to-month basis, there isn't a lot of newness going on with him. But this month, he makes squares to Mercury, the Sun, and Mars, all the planets moving through Sagittarius into Capricorn, and remembering that Neptune allows us to dream, to manifest, to meditate and connect to our higher selves. He also helps us have faith and to believe and have trust in the universe. And he's coming out of retrograde, so he's helping influence us on expanding our mind into these areas. So it's a beautiful energy. It can cause some fogginess and haziness. That's definitely things we want to pay attention to. But I love that Neptune is going to be involved this month. Now that we have a good overview of the energy we're going to be feeling for the month ahead, let's dive a little bit deeper into the planet by planet breakdown. Also, real quick announcement, I do have the 2024 Astrology Alchemy Journal available for sale. You can find it in the description box below. This is the hard copy where you can have all the printed pages, or if you just want a PDF copy and use it on your iPad or digitally, that is also available in the description box below. So for this portion of the video, you're going to want to go ahead and grab out your birth chart. I'm going to give you the degree points that each planet is going to be crossing over, so grab that out. I'm going to take all the planets off of this board. We're going to put them back on one by one and help you understand what the lesson is by each life coach this month. So we're starting out with the sun. Everything revolves around the sun, and it's very important for us to understand what sun season we're currently in, because the sun brings heat and life and vitality, and it shines a spotlight upon us. When we go outside, we can physically feel the radiation, the energy of the sun on our skin. So whatever zodiac sign the sun is currently in is the energy we're feeling here on Earth. So as we start out the month of December, we are currently in the energy of Sagittarius. Sagittarius is a very big energy we're feeling this month, like I mentioned at the beginning, and it's the energy of optimism, of hope, of faith. It is about exploration. It is about adventure. It is about getting out of your comfort zone. It's a very free-spirited energy. It's like the playboy or the gypsy, and it's going here and it's going there, and it's wanting to experience life. And in the astrology journal, I give you a bucket list for each sun season, activities that you can put on your calendar to kind of work with this energy, to expand yourself in alignment with the cosmos. So some of those things while the sun is in Sagittarius would be go on an adventure in your own hometown. Be extremely spontaneous. Have a day off with no plans and just see what kind of adventure you can get into. Plan a trip. Sagittarius wants to expand its mindset and to learn new things. So plan a trip for next year. Also, a thing that you can do around this time is to do something out of your comfort zone, something that you've said no to for a while and that you're finally ready to say yes to. Now, in the middle of the month, we are going to have the sun move into Capricorn. This will happen on the winter solstice on December 21st. This is the darkest night of the year, is where we have the least amount of sunlight, and it's really about us going within, going into hermit mode, really assessing what do we want for our life? Where do we want to go when the sun starts to get brighter and gets lighter? And so as the sun moves into Capricorn, this is a season of goal setting, of planning, of strategizing. It's a very grounded energy. It's about being focused, being committed, being disciplined, and it really allows us to kind of see the future and where we want to go for the long term and what is blocking us from getting to that goal, from climbing to the top of the mountain. So again, in your astrology journal, you're going to have a bucket list for Capricorn season. Get out your calendar, add some of those things to work with the energy of the cosmos. Then we're going to talk about the moon. Now, the moon moves very quickly. Every 2 to 3 days, the moon is in a different energy. This is why we say we shouldn't make emotional decisions right away. We should wait 2 to 3 days because the moon, your emotions may feel differently about that decision within a couple days. So for this portion of the video, I'm not going to talk about the moon and every single sign. Instead, we're going to focus on the 2 lunations of this month. The first one is going to be on December 12th. That is going to be the new moon in the energy of Sagittarius. Now, again, I'm going to have a separate video all about the new moon in Sagittarius, so I'm not going to go too deep here in the details, but I do want you to know when we get to that new moon, it is going to be the darkest night of the year with it being a new moon, and we're so close to that winter solstice, the sun moving into Capricorn on the 21st. But we also need to understand around that new moon, we are going to have a lot of fogginess, a lot of haziness, and the next day, literally within 6 hours of that exact new moon, Mercury is going to go retrograde. So there is going to be a lot of new things we want to start, new adventures, new mindset, new possibilities, but we're really learning to have faith, to have trust that they will happen even if they're not happening right now. So we'll dive into a lot more of the energy that you can expect and how that's going to influence your relationships in that video. But then the second lunation of the month is going to be the full moon in Cancer. Now, this is a big energy because the sun will be in Capricorn, the moon will be in Cancer. And this is going to be an energy that's going to have this Mars-Neptune square. We're going to feel so foggy, so hazy. We're going to want to make a decision. We don't know which one is the right decision. We're going to have to really go within. And it is highlighting our emotional intelligence. I can't even begin to say that enough, and we'll dive into that in the full moon in Cancer video. But really mastering emotional intelligence, emotional regulation, a lot of nervous system regulation is going to be pivotal around that time. It is also right around the holidays, and Cancer deals with family and our ancestors and our childhood. So a lot of these things may be stirred up with the full moon peaking and highlighting and illuminating those issues in our life. And we're still in that Mercury retrograde. So communication issues, not knowing how to express yourself, feeling internally, emotionally discombobulated, but not being able to express it in the right way. So this will be a great full moon for us to become aware, to highlight the emotional intelligence that we have and where maybe we need to work on that. We can all work on being more regulated with our emotions and communicating and expressing them in a clear manner that allows the other person that we're in relation with to understand us, to truly understand our emotions. So that's something that's going to come up around that full moon. So then we move on to Mercury, who's kind of like the star of our show this month. On the first day of December, Mercury moves out of Sagittarius right into Capricorn, where he's going to be gearing up for his retrograde. So starting out the month, Mercury is already in what we call his pre-shadow phase. And at the end of November, he reached the point in the sky at 22 degrees of Sagittarius where he will retrograde all the way back to. So we are already having conversations, looking at contracts, negotiating things, learning things that we're going to have to come back to. So that's the biggest thing as a relational astrologer I can tell you right now is that if you're having conversations and you can't seem to find the answers, you can't seem to come to a solution, you can't seem to want to seal the deal or sign the contract, you're going to have to come back to this. That is part of this cosmic energy with this Mercury retrograde happening, that by the end of the month, you're going to have so much more wisdom, more information, more insights, more downloads, more epiphanies, more ahas, that you're going to want to come back to this conversation. You're going to have newness to breathe into it, new information to put in that contract or to negotiate. So as we move into the first of the month, Mercury moves into Capricorn. This is where our mind, remember Mercury is our mind, is wanting to be more focused, more disciplined. We're being really realistic and really practical about things. We're not wanting to dream. We're wanting precision. We're wanting strategy. We're wanting to be really reflective and serious about our goals. We're looking at the future. We're saying, how is this going to impact me in 1 year, in 5 years, in 10 years? It's really dealing with time and space, looking at our calendars, looking at how long things are taking us. We're looking at literally our physical space, our 3D reality, and making judgments and assessments on them. This is really where our mind is wanting to get work done, to be productive. It leads us into the new year, which is a beautiful energy. But remember, we're going to have to come back over all of these things because there's the retrograde involved. So start planning, have some meetings, ask the questions, think about your year ahead, but don't concrete anything until after Mercury comes out of retrograde, which will be in a month on January 1st. And remember, as he moves back into Sagittarius, and we'll talk so much more about this in the Mercury retrograde video, is Sagittarius is Mercury in the mind of saying, what are my ideals? What's my beliefs? What are my philosophies? What do I hold true? What is my perspective? How do I want to have more fun? What matters to me? And so we're going to have to go back to this and say, okay, I want this goal. I want this dream. But is this in alignment with what I idealize my life in? Is this really what brings me joy? Is this really what I want? We're going to have to go back to the mind and our principles. Do we value it? Do we hold it to be true to us? And maybe finding out that truth within before we make a concrete decision on the plan that we want to enact for the year ahead. So that's going to be really important. And when it comes to relationships, a lot of times we want to ask that person out, ask them to marry us, make a heavy decision in a relationship to move somewhere or to change the dynamic in a relationship. Maybe it's to break up. But we have to go back to our mind in Sagittarius and look at the higher perspective, right? Look at it from another lens and ask yourself, are they in alignment with my belief systems? Do I even want this kind of relationship? I mean, there's going to be a lot of mental things we have to go through before we can make a decision of what that future is going to look like. And this isn't just romantic. This is also with siblings or people in your family. Maybe the dynamics in your family are starting to change. Maybe it's a coworker relationship. Maybe you're a boss and you employ employees, right? So it's really going back to, what do you hold true? What are your beliefs? What do you idealize? And how can you implement that and be in true alignment in the way that you move forward in the long-term areas of your life, especially around relationships? Remember, Mercury is going to have this square with Neptune. So it might feel a little foggy, a little hazy, you're not clear, you're not sure. My best advice with Mercury being the mind and Neptune being the higher realms, the higher self, is meditate on it, journal on it. Really sit in stillness, allow those epiphanies to come in, because you're not going to find it this month by having conversations, because Mercury is retrograde. You're going to find it by going within, by that higher self, that intuition, that inner knowing. That's going to be where you're going to find your answers versus the humanness conversation. Then we move on to Venus. You know, I love Venus as a life coach, as a relational astrologer. She starts out the month in the energy of Libra, conjunct the South Node. Now, this is very important because the South Node is about cutting things away, removing things, clearing karmic patterns, karmic habits. And in Libra, it's about relationships. So Venus is, what do you love? What brings you pleasure? What brings you harmony? Let's make our life so freaking beautiful. In relationships, Libra, but the South Node is saying, what patterns, what toxic habits, what karmic relationships need to go, need to be cleared, that cannot come with you into the future. So we are leaving November, moving into December with that energy. But then on the 4th, Venus moves into Scorpio, and this is where we got to go deep. We got to have those intimate conversations and relationships. Scorpio rules sex. It rules money and finances that you share with another person. It deals with psychological fears and traumas, childhood, things that you've gained over the lifetime through relationships that now you carry over into your current relationship. It's time to have these conversations around these deep, deep scorpionic topics. And Venus is saying, hey, we can make this relationship more beautiful. We can bring more pleasure to it, but we got to go deep. We got to go into the darkness. We got to transform this energy that is kind of toxic in this relationship, and we have to clear it. So it's about creating connection and intimacy, about allowing yourself to be uncomfortable. You know, Scorpio deals with that energy of secrets and betrayal and loyalty and jealousy and obsession. And these are really normal feelings that we have in this human experience. But Venus is going to help us go deep and talk about those things, especially because we're in a Mercury retrograde. So we're learning to communicate. We're learning to express ourselves authentically from our place of truth, Sagittarius. And Venus is going to help us with that energy in Scorpio. Now, she is going to oppose Uranus and she's going to oppose Jupiter, who are in Taurus this month. And oppositions are us here in the center, in the middle, on Earth, with Venus over here in Scorpio going deep, wanting to make our life more beautiful, and Jupiter and Uranus magnetizing, right? Jupiter expands things, but he brings blessing and he brings opportunity and he brings prosperity if we can go into those dark, intimate conversations. And Uranus brings sudden surprises, shocking liberation, taking the shackles off, moving us into the future. So first on the 9th, Venus is going to be opposite Jupiter. So if we can go deep and we can be intimate, Jupiter is going to kind of expand us and force us into that, bring some blessing and some beautifulness that comes from those deep, dark conversations. And then on the 21st, Venus will be opposite Uranus. And this is where maybe those relationships, we have a surprising revelation. All of a sudden, it gets so much better. Or maybe all of a sudden we realize, oh my gosh, we've had this deep, dark conversation. I don't feel any better. Maybe we're not in alignment. This isn't my truth anymore. And we want to let it go. So there's going to be some shifts and changes in relationships, especially if you're having challenges around those deeper, darker topics with Venus bringing them up in Scorpio. So just pay attention this month that there is that relationship focus. And I'm going to challenge you to be vulnerable, to open up, to practice your communication skills, but also don't rush into a decision. We're not supposed to make decisions until we move into January. So just allow the energy to be and take inventory of what is coming up. And then at the end of the month, Venus is going to move into Sagittarius on the 29th. So this is really exciting because as we move into the new year, Venus, what we love, what brings us pleasure, in the energy of Sagittarius, which is lighthearted. It's the playboy, it's the gypsy, it's being free-spirited, it's about going on an adventure, it's about exploring, it's about trying new things, it's about getting out of your comfort zone. So whatever deep topics you had to address in your relationships with Venus and Scorpio, now we get to go explore. Now we get to have some fun. Now we get to adventure. Now the excitement begins. So it's gonna be a really exciting season as we move into January, specifically around the areas of our life that we love, like relationships and our money and our creative projects and all those things that life coach Venus rules over. So when she gets to Sagittarius, things are going to start getting good. And that's around the time Mercury is going to come out of retrograde. So just go through it this month. It'll get a lot lighter when we get into January. Then we talk about Mars. Mars is also in the energy of Sagittarius. He is going to be moving from 4 degrees of Sagittarius all the way to 26. And that is so close to that galactic center point that I was talking about. Once we get into January, he will officially cross the galactic center, but he is getting closer and closer and closer. But also this month, he's going to be in that square with Neptune in Pisces. And that is where we want to take action, right? Mars can be aggressive. It's in the left lane, hitting the gas pedal, wanting to do things. But like, we don't know what to do because this Neptune fogginess and haziness is kind of clouding our judgment. So be very careful because decisions you can make this month with Mars square Neptune is being impulsive in the wrong direction and basing your decisions on the wrong information with Mercury going retrograde. So be very cautious, be very careful because Mars, when he's in Sagittarius, is about being free-spirited, right? He's like, I want to be impulsive. I want to take a trip. I want to adventure. I want to explore. It can be a little optimistic in the decisions when maybe this time we have to kind of see things a little bit more clearly or just hit the pause button. Then we're going to talk about Jupiter. Exciting. Jupiter is coming out of retrograde this month. He is in the energy of Taurus. He's been in Taurus since May of 2023, which brought expansion and growth and blessing and prosperity to whatever area of life Taurus rules for you in your specific birth chart. And so from May until September, it was like we were getting new clients, our money was getting better, we were having opportunities show up, things were feeling really good in that Taurus area of our life. But then we got to September and he went retrograde. So for a lot of us, we've gone into scarcity mindset. Things have dried up. Opportunities have disappeared. Things just don't feel like they're moving forward as much. We're not expanding. We're not growing. And that's okay because now at the end of December on the 30th, Jupiter is going to come out of retrograde and things are going to return back to that expansive mindset of growth, opportunity, blessing, abundance. This is so exciting to move into 2024 with Jupiter being direct. When he comes out of retrograde on the 30th of the month, he will be back at 5 degrees of Taurus. This is a very, very big part in the sky because Mercury actually retrograded in the exact same degree points that Jupiter just went through his retrograde. Mercury went from 15 degrees of Taurus back to 5 earlier in the year, back in April and May. And now Jupiter has went from 15 degrees also back to 5 degrees during this month when he gets there on the 30th. And at 5 degrees where Jupiter will end his retrograde is where we had that full moon eclipse in Taurus back in October. Remember that big, powerful, potent full moon eclipse that we had in Taurus? That was the last and final one of that eclipse cycle. That was at 5 degrees of Taurus, meaning the moon was right here in the sky. So you might have things that came up at the end of October circling back. And maybe this is now where Jupiter is going to bless you. Whatever happened, whatever was released, whatever was taken away, whatever you were experiencing at the end of October, Jupiter's like, hey, I'm back here now. I'm back right here in this energy and I'm going to go forward. I'm going to get out of retrograde and I am now going to expand you and bless you. And you're going to see why that happened was for a reason, because now this abundance is coming to you. So pay attention at the end of December as we move into November. Jupiter will be at that 5-degree point for a couple days as planets turn around in the sky or retrograde and station back to go direct. There's a couple days that they park their energy in that exact spot. So this month, things are still going to be a little slow. Pay attention. He's going to be opposite Venus. And he's like, I see you over there across from me in the sky. What can I do for you? How can I be of assistance? How can I help? And remember, Venus and Scorpio is like, I want to go deep. I want to have this hard conversation. And Jupiter's like, if you do, I will bless you. I will bring opportunity. I will bring prosperity. I will help you expand and grow forward. The one thing I do want to remind you of, when this happens around the 9th, 10th of the month, Scorpio and Taurus are our financial access in astrology. Scorpio deals with the money that is tied to another person. This is inheritances. This is debt. This is taxes. This is joint investments. This is your partner's money. This is business investors. And Taurus deals with your income, your material possessions, the things that you value. And so with Jupiter and Venus, it might make you want to expand and buy a bunch of things that you think you love, but you may not love. We might be splurging. We might be spending way too much. I want you to be very, very careful with this energy because it's quick-lived. And afterwards, you may not really enjoy it anymore. And it may come to a point where you've spent way too much. So be very, very careful in the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th of this month with that energy being very, very potent. And we're going to talk about Saturn. Saturn is, of course, in Pisces, his 3-year journey through the energy of Pisces. He is out of retrograde now as of November 4th. So he is full steam ahead, back on disciplining us, teaching us lessons. You guys know I call him our tough love dad. All the obstacles, all the challenges, all the hard things in life are due to Saturn influencing us and helping us grow and mature. And so now that he's back at Pisces, he retrograded from 7 degrees all the way back to 0. So now we're back to where we were in March of 2023 and saying, hey, how am I connected to Pisces? My spirituality, my energetic body, having faith, having trust, having hope, having optimism, believing that things are possible. Where's my mindset? How am I aligning my chakra and my aura and paying attention to the metaphysical spaces and how they influence the way in which I move forward in this world? And so Saturn is back to teaching us lessons. If you're not sure what the Saturn and Pisces 3-year journey is trying to teach you, go back to my Saturn and Pisces video. I'll link it at the end of this video. And I go into a deep dive of what our tough love dad is trying to teach you. And this is so important now that he's out of retrograde and he's back to teaching us lessons and he's back to 0 degrees of Pisces, starting over. And when Venus moves into Sagittarius, she will be in a square to Saturn. So those relationships that we've had deep conversations with, then all of a sudden we had some blessings that came up, then maybe we had a shocking surprise or a shocking revelation or a secret came to light, and then Venus moves into Sagittarius and squares Saturn. So now we have to do the hard thing, right? Saturn asks us to be committed, to be disciplined, to be mature. So we might have to make a very mature, hard decision at the end of December as we move into November with Venus squaring Saturn. Then we talk about Uranus. He is also in Taurus where Jupiter is. They will be getting closer and closer together as we move to 4/20 of 2024, but more on that later. And as he hangs out in this area of Taurus, he will have that conversation with Venus. So something we definitely want to pay attention to. And other than that, he is not up to too much else this month. Then we have Neptune. Remember I said at the beginning, Neptune isn't someone I focus on a whole lot, but this month he's going to get some attention. He is in Pisces, coming out of retrograde officially on the 6th of December, where he gets back into full power. Neptune allows us to dream, to be in fantasy land, to put rose-colored glasses on and be optimistic and have faith and just to trust it's all working out. And so we're going to get back into that journey. And during his retrograde since June of 2024, maybe we were going inward. Maybe we had to learn a lot about our spiritual connection. Maybe you learned about your intuition. Maybe you got back into a spiritual practice. And now it's time for us to integrate our higher self and our trust and our intuition and our faith into our day-to-day practice. So this might be a time now where you want to go back into a spiritual journey, you want to go back to church, you want to get back into a routine, maybe in the morning pulling cards. This is really the time for you to get really clear with your intuition. And we go back to dreaming again. It goes back to saying, hey, what do I want for my future? What do I want? And believing it's actually possible for you, which is a beautiful energy as he will be in a square with Mercury during his retrograde, is our mind is allowing allowing us to see the impossible becoming possible. It's allowing us to dream bigger and larger than life as we're moving into the next year and planning our goals and seeing how we want our long-term dreams to come to life. We're going to be able to actually dream a little bit bigger. So this is exciting. And then we talk about Pluto. This is kind of exciting. Pluto is in Capricorn still as he makes his way to enter into Aquarius. And he is moving this month from 28 degrees of Capricorn to 29 degrees of Capricorn. This is the last time in our lifetime that he will be at 28 degrees of Capricorn, and at 29, he's in his full power. And this is important because Pluto goes out with a bang. He spends 15 years in an energy. So by the time he gets to 29 degrees, he's like, I got my last chance. Key, Pluto, power to destroy things, to upheaval things, to shed light on things, take the skeletons out of the closet, to expose things, to unearth things. And Capricorn, we know, deals with structure, government, institutions. Like there's going to be a lot of things that might be unearthed with Pluto at 29 degrees of Capricorn until we get to January 20th. On January 20th, he will move into the energy of Aquarius alongside the sun. They go in side by side, the sun heating up Pluto and allowing us to move into this new energy of Pluto in Aquarius that will last for another 15 years. So big energy this month with some unearthing and revelations and things we didn't see coming, but it's all meant to destroy so we can rebuild in a more beautiful way. Then we have the North and the South node still in Aries and Libra. That is going to apply for the entire year of 2024. So we'll still have eclipses in Aries and Libra. So much more to talk about that. And then we have Chiron, who doesn't get attention every single month unless he's actually up to something big. And this month he is coming out of retrograde on the 26th of December. This is important because as Chiron comes out of retrograde and gets back on track, he will run into the North node in Aries, and that's coming up next year in February. This is important because Chiron is our wounded healer. It's about allowing us to heal ourselves in Aries, being our inner child, our toxic masculine tendencies, our anger management issues. There's a lot of healing that can come to us. And being in Aries, the North node in Aries is about your main character energy. Your needs, your wants, your desires, stepping into really creating boundaries and prioritizing yourself and finding some deep healing in that energy. So that's coming up for us again in the new year. And that is our planet by planet breakdown. Now we're going to move into the date by date breakdown. This is where I do my what's in the stars for the week ahead. If you have your calendar, grab it out, see if you have any activities, plan for the dates I'm going to mention. Make sure you put a little note so that you know what cosmic energy you and the people around you are going to be under when you go to those events. And if you have your astrology journal, you can open up to the month of December, which is going to be on page 87, and you can go ahead and take notes in here as well. So starting out at the beginning of the month of December, what's in the stars from the 1st of December all the way until the 9th, this is a very relationship-focused week. On the 1st of December, we have Mercury moving into the energy of Capricorn. Now remember, Mercury is in his pre-shadow phase, meaning he is going to come all the way back into Sagittarius by the time we get to the middle of the month. Now, this is important because remember, Mercury is conversations. And when he comes back in the sky to a place he's been before, it means we have to come back to conversations. So anything that you're talking about this week, negotiations you're having, information you're trying to gather, anything around communication, your technology, relationship conversations, you're going to have to circle back. You don't have all the information yet. You don't have all the data points. There are some more and more combos to be had before you can come to a final conclusion. So be patient with that energy. Now on the 1st, Mercury moves into Capricorn. So Mercury, our mind is shifting out of Sagittarius, which is more optimistic and having faith and exploring and asking questions and being curious and trying to find out the truth, to now going into Capricorn where it's more disciplined, it's more serious, it's more structured. Now our mind is on our long-term goals. What do we want from our life? Being more productive, looking at time management, like we're getting realistic and we're getting really practical. So if you're having conversations at this time, now your questions are going to be more about like, well, how long is this going to take? Is this what you want for the future? How do I make my dreams and my goals come true? It's very strategic mind, and that's a big shift from the month before where our mind was more optimistic and we're just having faith and we're being more carefree, and now we're getting down into the nitty gritty. So pay attention to that shift of energy starting right out at the 1st of the month. Then, like I said, we're getting more into relationships because Venus is moving away from the South node, so cutting away from toxic karmic patterns in relationships. She will then have a square with Pluto on the 3rd. Squares bring tough aspects, tough conversations. Venus being relationships and Pluto being destruction. secrets exposed, power and control, betrayal, jealousy, manipulation. So we might have some tension in relationships, secrets exposed, people trying to influence their power over us. This can be all relationships, not just romantic. So pay attention. It's a tough day for relationships on the 3rd. On the 4th, then, Venus moves into Scorpio. And this really shifts our energy because Venus is what we love, how we're making our life more pleasurable and more beautiful. When she was in Libra, it was all about we wanted to create peace and balance and harmony in our relationships. We wanted things to be smooth sailing. But now when she moves into Scorpio for most of the month of December, this is really us going deep, wanting to be more intimate, wanting to be more vulnerable, having tough conversations around sex and intimacy, our fears, our traumas, having conversations around jealousy, betrayal, secrets. Like we're going to go deep, deep, deep in relationships. And while Venus is in Scorpio, she will have an opposition to Jupiter and Uranus, but we'll talk more about that later in the month. Energy just shifts in relationships. Now, Venus is in detriment when she's in Scorpio because she rules Taurus and she's the furthest away from home that she can be. So our relationships might be hella uncomfortable. We're going to feel like we're in a foreign land with a foreign language and we don't know what's going on, but that's going to get us out of our comfort zone and allow us to go into those deep spaces and become more intimate with others. It's an exciting relationship energy if you can push yourself to that limit. And then on the 6th, Neptune is coming out of retrograde in Pisces. He has been retrograde since June. This is now our beliefs, our faith, our hope, our optimism, our dreams, our mind really going into la land again, connecting to our intuition, implementing a spiritual practice. We feel more connected to our higher self. So this is a beautiful energy and we're dreaming a little bit more. And then on the 9th is when Venus comes into her exact opposition with Jupiter. So this is where we want to go a little deeper, push ourselves out of our comfort zone, have those deep, intimate conversations. And Jupiter is like, hey, I'm over here and I will bless you. I will allow you to have some abundance in your relationships. Jupiter expands us. He brings growth and forward momentum. So if you can push yourself to go deep this first week with Venus and Scorpio, have a tough conversation around sex or money or intimacy or your fears, Jupiter will bless you by the time we get to the end of this week. But you do want to be careful around this time because Scorpio and Taurus are our financial access. Venus is like, oh, I want it. It's going to make my life more beautiful. And Taurus is like, yeah, buy it, splurge. He's all about the most. And this can lead to some detriment at the end of the month. So be very careful with overspending, splurging on things. Then we move into the second week of December. So what's in the stars from December 10th to December 16th? This is the week where communication issues are going to be extremely challenged. I want you to be so careful and so cautious with not starting a fight, not causing drama, keeping your mouth shut. Be very, very cautious because on December 12th, we're going to have that new moon in Sagittarius. And we love new moons because they're new beginnings. And Sagittarius is about being optimistic and having faith and being lighthearted and wanting to ask a bunch of questions. But Mercury at that time is going to be in a square with Neptune, so things are foggy, things are hazy. Mercury is stationing on that day to go retrograde. On the 13th, he begins his retrograde. So now we are not meant to move forward, not meant to have deep conversations, not sign contracts, not negotiate. We are supposed to go inward and ask questions, reevaluate, reassess, reanalyze, go back to the drawing board and go back to old conversations, revisit things that we had from December 1st all the way to this point in the retrograde. So big week, communication challenges. You're going to want to learn more in my Mercury retrograde video and my new moon in Sagittarius video. Big energies, not a good week for communication. Then we move into the third week of December. So what's in the stars from December 17th to December 23rd, leading us into the holidays. This is a big week. Lots of major energetic shifts in the sky. We start out on December 19th with Pluto moving to 29 degrees of Capricorn. This is where he moves into the anaretic degree, the last point in the sky before he moves into a new zodiac energy. And this is where his power moves come in. And remember, Pluto is all about destruction. He is about breaking things down. He's about going into those deep, dark spaces and shedding light on the secrets and the things that you don't want to acknowledge. And so there's going to be a lot of revelations. Remember, Capricorn is all about government, institutions, things have rules and regulations, hierarchy of things. So there might be a lot of exposure that comes around this time that is destroying these institutions. So be careful. This is a big shift in energy. Then on the 21st, Venus goes directly opposite Uranus. This is where those relationships have sudden jolting upsets. We might liberate ourselves. We might take the shackles off. We might want to become more free. Very unexpected things that can happen around this time in relationships. On that same day, the sun is going to move into Capricorn. So now we are shifting out of this jovial, optimistic, exploration, going on adventures, all this fun energy of Sagittarius into more serious Capricorn. This is about getting realistic, getting practical, getting things done, being productive, looking at your calendar. This is a good time for you to start really assessing your year ahead. Don't wait until the new year, but we're going to start asking questions. Mercury's still retrograde, so we're going to be really exploring, what do we want? What do we value? And asking ourselves, what is our truth? Not what other people want us to do for the year ahead, but what is your truth? Then on the 22nd, the Sun and Mercury come conjunct. This is a really big deal because the Sun moves from Sagittarius into Capricorn and runs into Mercury going retrograde. The Sun-Mercury cazimi on the 22nd of December is the halfway point of the Mercury retrograde. This is where we get the aha. This is where our mind has been on, what do I want? What are my goals? Being serious, being practical, being realistic, Mercury going retrograde. And the Sun shows up to shed light, to bring heat, to bring life and vitality. And this happens at 0 degrees of Capricorn. So the Sun is going to move from Sag into Capricorn, and Mercury will move from Capricorn back into Sag. So it's a flip-flopping energy. And so big day for ahas, epiphanies. Oh, this is what I need to do. This is my truth. This is what I want. And we still have to gather more information once we understand the challenge that we're having. In relationships, if you're having communication issues, this may be the point where you recognize, oh my gosh, I have to zoom out. I have to see it from their lens. I have to see it from their perspective, right? Sagittarius is the higher conscious mind. It's not as simple as you want to go on vacation at this time and I want to go on vacation on this time. It's why do you want to go on vacation? How is that impacting you? Why does it matter to you, right? Going more into those higher perspectives of the other person's lens. We're going to feel like solutions are possible. Like we can actually negotiate this. We can actually come to a conclusion. And then on the 23rd, right after that Sun-Mercury cazimi, of course, Mercury goes into Sagittarius. So really from the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, it's a lot of the Sun-Mercury stuff. So our mind's going to get on fire. We're really going to have epiphanies, highlighting things. It's going to be really, really good. And that's how we're going to end this week. But I do want to say, as we're moving into next week, Mercury is going to get closer to Mars. And this is where we get explosive. Mars wants to take action. He's a fighter. He's a warrior. We might get aggressive. So we want to be very careful as we move into the 4th week of December with Mercury and Mars getting closer in the sky. So that leads us then into the 4th and final week of December and of 2023. This is a big week. So what's in the stars from December 24th until December 31st? Lots and lots of commotion. On the 26th, we start out with Mercury officially square Neptune. This is where your mind is foggy, it's hazy, I can't figure it out, I don't know what to do. Really big misconfusion. So be very careful around this time to not cause drama, to not have difficult conversations, to not ask too many questions, don't sign any contracts. Mercury's still retrograde. It is going to be a lot of misunderstandings, but beautiful energy for creativity, working on your own projects, meditating, journaling, going to spiritual events. Like your mind is more on your intuition and on another realm than in the physical reality having conversations with people. So there might be dishonesty and you might be misled, and just be really careful. You don't need to have direct conversations. Go within into your higher self. On the 27th is when Chiron goes direct. This is great energy. We can get back to healing ourselves. And also on the 27th, we have the full moon in Cancer. This is a big day right around that Chiron direct. This is where we are feeling emotional. We're challenging our emotional intelligence. You really want to have some self-care around this time. You want to nurture yourself. You want to go within. You want to find sanctuary and peace. This might highlight issues in your family. This might highlight what you need for comfort and security and who isn't providing that for you when it comes to relationships. Big day. And the day after, so this is potent around the full moon, is Mercury and Mars come into a square. Mercury is our mind and our words and our communication, and Mars is the fighter. He can be aggressive and trying to get what he wants. And so this is not a good time for conversations. You are going to have fighting words. People are going to say things they don't mean. They might be trying to, implement their influence or power on you. It's just not a good time because also they're both in a square with Neptune. So Mars is our chi and Mars is our stamina. So you might be feeling really weak. Your immune system might be challenged at this time. Big deal right after the holidays, after the stress, after all the sugar. So be really careful. A lot of people might be getting sick around this time. And we're going to have a lot of this energy coming back when we get into January. So go slow. You might be feeling more exhausted. Shut your mouth. Don't socialize too much. Go within at that full moon and find sanctuary and peace within yourself and practice emotional intelligence. Then on the 29th, Venus moves into Sagittarius, getting out of that deep, dark scorpionic energy. We've been intimate, we've had deep conversations, secrets may have been revealed. And as Venus moves into Sagittarius on the 29th, we are going to be challenged by Saturn. Saturn asks us to be our own tough love dad, to be our disciplinarian, to do what's right, to be mature. And so with all that we've learned this month in relationships, what are you going to do about it? What is the best thing for you? Then she moves into Sagittarius and things get fun. Venus in Sag is so exciting, loves to explore, be adventurous, try on new things, get out of her comfort zone, and go on some fun adventures with your partner. Then on the 30th, Jupiter comes out of retrograde. This is exciting. Now we are going to have more abundance, more expansion, more growth, more blessing, more opportunity, more prosperity, more luck. All this goodness is going to come to us with Jupiter being direct in Taurus. Make sure you know where Taurus is in your birth chart because that's the area of life all the way until May of 2024 that you are going to receive some beautiful blessings. And then on January 1st, Mercury comes out of his retrograde and we enter into 2024 with beautiful energy. So much more to talk about with that. So stay tuned for my 2024 year ahead forecast and my January forecast. Lots of excitement that we are moving into the new year with. So now you're probably wanting to know how this is going to impact you personally. So we're going to go into the rising signs. Now, of course, this month there is so many things going on. So this is such a general overview. So we're going to focus on the Sagittarius area of your life because this is where that Mercury retrograde is coming back to. We have the new moon here and we also have Mars and the sun traveling through this area of life. So this is your specific area of life where the relationships in this area may be heavily impacted. Starting out with Aries Risings. Aries Rising, Sagittarius is in your 9th house. So this is the area of life that deals with travel, it deals with exploring, it deals with going on adventures, it deals with expanding your mindset. So this is higher education, schools, mentorship, all those things. So any relationship in that specific area of your life is what could be heavily impacted this month. The sun is highlighting and heating up those relationships, forcing you to pay attention to them. And Mercury is going retrograde, asking you to look back at these relationships and what do you find true? How do you idealize them? What do you find important in them? So pay attention to anyone that you're traveling with this month. Maybe it's a mentor you've had for quite some time. Do you want to take them into the future with you as Mercury goes into Capricorn? And also really looking at what do you value? What do you idealize? What is your philosophy? What is your belief system? And maybe how do you need to mentor other people with the wisdom that you've gained in this lifetime? Now, my Taurus rising, Sagittarius falls in your 8th house. So this is the area of life that deals with joint finances, money that is tied to another person. This is through investments, debt, inheritances, taxes. It's also your intimate spaces like your sex life, your romantic life, maybe even counselors or people that are helping you through trauma. So all the relationships in this area of life may be highlighted. You might be having a lot of conversations around this area of life with people because Mercury is retrograding here. And at that new moon, there might be some new beginnings that you have to have in the relationships in your life that is tied to deep, deep, intimate connections, conversations around money and sharing money, maybe conversations around debts that have to be paid, conversations about being more intimate, learning to be more vulnerable with another person, talking about your sex life. All of that might come up this month. Gemini risings. This puts Sagittarius in your 7th house, your intimate connections with another person. This is marriage. This is partnership. This is business. This is collaborations. These are deep, intimate friendships, people that you have in your life for a long time. And those are being highlighted this month with the new moon, asking you to have new beginnings. If you're single, you might have new relationships that might come up, possibilities for new relationships. Mercury is retrograding here. So maybe there's some conversations you have to have in your marriage with a business partner, with some deep friends. There's a lot of energy going on in the deepest intimate connections in your life. Cancer risings. This puts Sagittarius in your 6th house. This is your area of life around your health, your wellness, your daily routines, your work life. So you might be having a lot of conversations with people in these areas of your life. Maybe it's a coach, a personal trainer, a therapist, someone that helps you, get on track with your health. Mercury retrograding here, you might have to go back over a contract with these people, conversations with these people, getting clarity around what they want you to do to improve your wellness. This deals a lot with coworkers or if you run your own business, employees that you might have. So lots of conversations. Be very careful with Mars and Mercury, square Neptune in this area of your life. You might not have all the information around, what is your optimal well-being. So just be careful with any relationships that deal with your health, doctors, therapists, etc. And also being careful because their information might not be super clear at this time. Leo risings, let's put Sagittarius in your 5th house. So this is the area of life that deals with fun, entertainment, people you do hobbies with. This deals with your children or maybe your own inner child. people that you work on creative projects with or have a romantic relationship with. These are relationships in your life that may be highlighted this month with the sun shining its spotlight here, and also the new moon asking you to start new beginnings. Maybe it's a new date that you go on. Maybe it's a new creative project you start with another person. And Mercury is retrograding here. So all the relationships that deal with your children or people that you like I said, do hobbies with, you might be having a lot of conversations around this time with those specific people in your life. Virgo risings, Sagittarius falls in your 4th house. This is your house of home and family. So these are the relationships this month that are going to be heavily impacted. You're going to have a new moon here. So if there's new intentions you want to set around your family life, this could be the family that you've created or the family that you were born into. Also around your home. So the people that you might live with, if it's roommates, or maybe people you deal with when it comes to real estate or property or moving home, like your realtor. You also are going to have Mercury retrograding back into this area. So be careful with conversations and communication within your home life, within the family. Maybe there's some miscommunications as far as who needs to get what chores done, different responsibilities within the home. So any kind of relationship in this area of your life is going to be one to pay attention to during the month of December. Libra risings, Sagittarius falls in your 3rd house. So this is your area of life that deals with communication. So it can deal with teachers or maybe your students. It also deals with your neighborhoods, your social network that is in close proximity to you. So if you're having issues with neighbors or even your siblings. So be very careful this month with Sagittarius ruling this area of life, because these are the relationships that you may be having some challenges with. You have Mercury retrograding back into this area of your life. So as you're maybe trying to share information, teach information, if you use social media as a communication tool, maybe the technology in your home is going wonky. Also, like I said, be very careful with neighbors. There might be a lot of disagreements or misunderstandings. You have the new moon energy here. So maybe there's a new intention you'd like to set with your siblings, maybe starting fresh, or maybe having a new way of communicating with your siblings, like the way that you're talking on the phone or how often you're talking, or the way in which you're actually sharing information with each other. So these are the areas of life and the relationships that may be impacted for you in the month of December. Scorpio rising, Sagittarius falls in your 2nd house. This is your money sector. So this is the area of life that's getting heated up by the sun. So right now your mind is on your money with Mercury here. The energy is potentizing your income, your budget. Maybe you're wanting to create another income opportunity. Maybe you're looking at your material possessions. What do you value? The sun is shining a spotlight on this area of your life. And you're also having Mercury retrograde back in this area. So if you are trying to have conversations with people about your money, about your budget, maybe it's a financial investor, a financial planner as you're moving towards the end of the year, anyone that you relate to that affects your income possibilities and your material possessions. Maybe it's about buying a new car. Maybe it's about a big purchase for Christmas or for the holidays. You want to pay attention to those specific relationships in your life with Mercury causing you to go back over those conversations over and over again, and also Mars being here. So you're going to want to take action in this area of your life, but I would hold off until this energy dissipates towards the end of the month. And Mars is also here, so you may want to be starting another income stream, but that could be really challenging with all the squares to Neptune, the fogginess and the haziness around this time. So pay attention what conversations you need to have around your personal income and money, and what relationships are impacting your financial sector. Sagittarius risings, this of course puts Sagittarius in your 1st house. So this is a month all about you, your wants, your needs, your desires, your identity, the way that you dress, the way that you present yourself. What is your persona? And so with the new moon here, this is a great time for you. This is your astrological new moon of the year. Setting new intentions, creating new beginnings, starting fresh. If you're wanting to cut your hair, change your wardrobe, maybe you are deciding what your needs and your wants are as you move into the year ahead. There's going to be a lot of conversations around this with Mercury retrograding back to this area of life, asking you, what do you want? Who do you want to be? And how do you want to be seen in the world? So there's not a lot of other relationships necessarily at this time, but the one that you have with yourself. So going really within and asking yourself, how do you want to be seen in the year ahead? Capricorn risings, this puts Sagittarius in your 12th house. The 12th house is the house of our mind, our mental health. So you're going to have to really pay attention this month to the enemy within. What are your limiting beliefs? How are you talking to yourself? How are you sabotaging yourself? There may be a lot of deep repressed things coming up at this time. You may want to go in and retreat and be more isolated around the holidays, not feeling like socializing and communicating. So the main relationship this month being impacted with the new moon in this 12th house area, Mercury retrograding back into this 12th house area, is you really focusing on yourself and cleansing and purging and releasing, doing some energetic healing, doing some spiritual practices, really going within your own self so that you can move forward fresh in the year ahead. Aquarius risings, this puts Sagittarius in your 11th house. This is your house of community, of friendships, of tribe. So these are going to be the relationships this month that are getting a spotlight as the sun is shining upon your 11th house area. You have a new moon here this month. So do you want to have new social circles, new friendships? It's a great time to get out and just meet new people, to socialize. You might find that your new hobbies and goals now align with a different crowd. Now be careful because Mercury is going to retrograde back into this area of your life this month. So there might be more conversations you have to have with friends, maybe misunderstandings, disruptions, arguments. Be very careful with gossip in your friendship circle. Don't be the one spreading it because this is the area of life that's going to be mostly impacted for you in the month of December. My Pisces risings, this puts Sagittarius in your 10th house. This is your house of career, of your purpose, of your legacy, the reputation that you're building, the title that you're being called. So all relationships in your life in this specific area are going to be impacted. You have a possibility to create new energy, new moon in Sagittarius in this area of your life. So do you have a new career that you want to begin? What people in your life can help you? Do you know someone that is in a field that you want to go into? Maybe connecting with them. Also remembering Mercury is going to retrograde through your 10th house of career. So are there conversations that you need to have with your bosses or people in your industry? Maybe there's miscommunication or misinformation that's being passed along within your work, in your career life. So be very careful right now. There might also be some fogginess and haziness, like information is not being spread as clearly in your industry. So be aware of people not always telling you the full story or some truths being revealed. It's very much the relationships dealing with your career life for the month of December. So with all of that, remember the rising sign forecasts are very generalized. Doing a personal reading is going to be way more specific to your area of life. Right now, I'm doing 2024 astro forecast readings where we dive in with your specific birth chart. We pull out the 2024 astrology alchemy journal. We go through the new moons and the full moons, which ones are impacting you most heavily this year based on your unique birth chart. We're going to look at the retrogrades that are coming up for the year ahead. What are the lessons you're supposed to learn, and so much more. So if you want to get on my calendar for one of those, you can head to the description box below. Thank you so much for being here with me, for spending your time with me, allowing me to be your guide through the cosmic weather of December. Make sure you hit subscribe, follow along as I come to you with the new moon in Sagittarius video, relationship focus, and of course, this Mercury retrograde. Remembering when Mercury retrogrades, we're going to have communication issues. We're learning how to speak more clearly, express our needs, our wants, and our desires. So of course, I'll take the lens of relationships in that Mercury retrograde video as well. So with all that, happy holidays. I hope you have a fabulous month of December. Pay attention to all the dates that I mentioned in the date-by-date breakdown, and I will catch you in the next video.